This episode of Southern California CEOs, Profiles, and Excellence is brought to you by Premier Service Bank. Premier Service Bank has been serving the business community with a full line of business and personal banking services with unmatched customer service. Premier Service Bank, where their name says it all.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Southern California CEO. I'm your host, Linda Reif-Schneider. This Profiles in Excellence segment is brought to you by Premier Service Bank, serving the nonprofit community since 2001. Today we'll be talking to Kara Lubin, founder of the 100 Mile Club, an organization that provides opportunities for school-aged children to run or walk 100 miles at school during a single school year. They're committed to improving readiness for children to learn, thus creating better educational outcomes. This program includes building self-esteem and overall improved health in the lives of school children and others. Kara, first of all, thank you for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
How did you come up with the idea for the 100 Mile Club?
Wow. Well, it was my second year teaching, and I had a group of kids in my class, about 13 kids, who in the arena of school had experienced a tremendous amount of failure. They were in my class because they needed specific instruction to be successful in school. And when you're 9 years old and you've experienced that much failure in your life, it's very hard to feel that you can be successful and also believe in yourself. And at the same time, the group I had was very, very energetic. A lot of them were diagnosed with hyperactivity, disorders of some kind, but they believed in me, and I needed to give them something to believe in at school. And so in the combination of needing to calm them down a little bit and also giving them something to strive for is sort of what made me start thinking about what they could do. So I took them out and I sent them off to run. I said, you guys are going to run a little, it's going to be so great. And they came back around and I said, oh, by the way, you're going to run 100 miles this year. And they looked at me like I was crazy because in their head that was unattainable. And I said, no, you're going to do it. We're going to do a little each day, don't worry, and I'm going to mark your progress on a special chart. And I sort of was like, man, I got to go to the store and get a chart. So I went and got a chart and we started marking their miles, and it was transformative for them. They started to see success, and they started to see those miles racking up. And so then I said, okay, and I was making it up as I went along. I said, when you get to 25 miles, Miss Lupin is going to give you a special shirt. And I thought, what am I saying? Like, stop talking. You hear yourself talking and you're like, stop. And that's how it started. And that group of kids showed me all of the benefits of the 100 Mile Club at the beginning. I never thought it was something that was going to go on past that school year and past those kids, because as a special education specialist, you do what needs to be done for a group that you have.
Tell us more about this evolving. What's the mission of the 100 Mile Club, and what does it take to participate?
Okay, so the mission of the 100 Mile Club is very simple. We're offering the opportunity for our kids to run or walk 100 miles in a year, and in doing so, we create better educational outcomes. We're creating kids who are more confident with their bodies and also healthier children. And healthy kids, they just do better in school.
Let's talk a little bit about team building. Now, I was a runner 100 years ago, and I understand what you mean by running in team, but a lot of people will look at running and think, well, that's an individual sport. Explain how that builds team.
Well, our kids each have a shared goal. It's very individualized, the 100 Mile Club. Everyone has their own goals. There are some kids that just say, please let me get to my 100. I just want to make it to 100, and some of my kids care very much about making 200, sometimes 300, 400 miles in a year. And these are my kids that go to events, and they have a great time. But everyone has a very personal goal, and everyone kind of knows each other's strengths and limitations, and it's the job of each child or each participant not only to get their goal in, but to help someone else get there too. So this shared experience, I think, allows our kids to bond in a way that it's hard to do at school. It's very hard to do at school, and it is not a competitive thing. We discourage competition. I mean, you have those two kids that are fun and they run together and they're always trying to outrun each other, but we never, praise someone who gets to their 100 first over someone who's still on their journey, because it is a journey and they do have the entire year to do it, and the kids know that.
What do you hope that your students will walk away from this experience?
I want them to look back on their experience in 100 Mile Club and say, well, if I can run 100 miles, I can do anything. Because that took, for our 5-year-olds, that's a fifth of their life. I mean, to commit to something like that, that's amazing. So drawing on the strength that they get through this program.
It sounds like a huge goal for even a person of my age, let alone a
Absolutely.
5-year-old, to run 100 miles. Share some specific examples with us. Give us 1 or 2 stories about some of your
Well, there was one little boy and his father wouldn't let him sign up. He was a first grade boy, 6 years old. And he was this little sweet thing, and his teacher was very upset, and she called me and said, this father won't let his son participate. What do I do? And I said, well, be patient and talk to the father, and it'll work out. So what it was the child had severe asthma, and in the ER all the time. And it was a stress thing for the parents, and they didn't want to have to get called from school and have their child having an asthma attack, and I can understand that as a parent. So for me, I just said, just be patient. And finally I said to the teacher, just talk to the dad. Let him walk. Just walk with him. Because he's got to walk. I mean, you've got to walk from home to the bus. Let him walk. So we talked the dad into letting him sign up. And, a few months later, at medal ceremony time, the child ended up completing 130 miles. No, he started running. He started out walking, and the teacher just told the dad, just please trust me. I won't let anything happen to him. We can do this together. I will keep an eagle eye on him. And he started running, and like I said, did 130 miles. And at medal ceremony time, I found him, because I had heard his story, and I found him. He goes, I'm going to do this every year. And his dad said he's a completely different kid. They hadn't been to the hospital once. His asthma was under control, and it was about strengthening his body. And I can see the fear on Dad's side, so you can't say anything. But this is a child who was on his way to becoming a sedentary adult, a sedentary teenager, and then a sedentary adult.
Let's switch gears just a little bit.
Sure.
And tell me, do you guys, does your organization host special events like 5 or 10K runs, or those things that are
Well,
so
of course,
popular
we
with
had
your
to
community?
jump from. No, we've never done a 5K.
No.
We've never hosted a 5K. Our kids go to different 5Ks, and we give credit for them. But we've never hosted our own. Of course, we have never even hosted a 10K or a full marathon. We decided we would just go straight to the ultra marathon. Now, we were adopted kind of informally a couple of years ago by the ultra marathon community, because they saw a sign on the side of the freeway advertising one of our other events that said 100 Mile Club, and they were like, oh, 100 miles, it must be an ultra marathon group. So they called me, and one of the runners called me, and he goes, I'm an ultra marathoner. What is this 100 Mile Club? And I was like, well, it's for kids, and they do over the course of a year, but you run 100 miles at a time? What? And over this time, we developed a relationship, and he told me that he wanted to run from Corona to LA, and he wanted to raise funds for our sponsorship fund. And I thought, this man is crazy. He goes, well, would you mind if I brought some other people in? I'm like, there are more people who do this? So I didn't know anything about the ultra community at that point. So now we have one event called the 100 Mile Endurance Challenge. It's 100 EC for short, and it's a 101 mile foot race, just to be sure we get our 100 in. From Corona, we start in Corona, and we end at the Santa Monica Pier. And that's always in late October, so it's coming up. And this year we have 40 runners. The other event we do is called the Run for Kids, and our Run for Kids is like a giant jogathon, just the biggest jogathon you could ever think of. And we have vendors and games in the middle of the track, and kids running around earning miles, as many as they can get. Last year I did have one little boy who did 18 miles before we figured out he had done 18 miles, and we made him stop. But he didn't do anything else that day. He just stayed on the track and walked. And he ended up running with one of our ultra team. We actually, on the same day, do a 24-hour ultra marathon on the track. So we have runners that stay on the track for 24 hours, and their goal is to do 100 miles. It sounds funny when I say it out loud. We do 100 miles in 24 hours, and we did have a few that did it.
That's incredible.
And it's really cool because the kids end up running with these ultra runners who have been running, and they're elite, amazing athletes, and they love running with the kids. So those are our 2 big events.
Okay, Kara, you're running a nonprofit organization.
Yes.
You went from being a special education teacher
Yes.
to CEO of what sounds like it's really a growing organization.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us what role, things like a bank has played in helping you to make your organization successful.
Well, you need someone on your side. Premier Service Bank has been our bank of choice for both of our event accounts, and they have been nothing short of fantastic for us. They care, and they don't mind when I have silly questions. You know, being someone who went from teaching to running this organization, I sometimes ask silly questions. I feel like they're silly questions, and they probably are. And they just are so helpful all the time, and they care, they call, they check on us, they do so much.
Do they support you financially?
Yes, we were one of the lucky partners in their golf tournament last year.
Okay.
It was last year,
Great.
and loved it. It was a great experience.
And being a nonprofit and not really, a for-profit business, do they treat you differently?
No, they treat me like a person who's doing something that she cares about very much. And no, I'm never treated as a nonprofit or a business. I think when I walk in the building, it's, "Hi, Kara, how are you? What can we do to help you?"
Sounds like you have a partnership with them.
Absolutely. It's a strong partnership. It's a growing partnership. They're incredible.
So how does an organization or a school join the 100 Mile Club? How do they get involved?
Well, it's as simple as going to the website, 100mileclub.com, and there is a registration form. And it's we're very low tech because we're about people. Literally, you print out the registration form, you fill it out, you fax it in or mail it in or scan it and send it to us via email, and you'll get a phone call from us, or you can call us first, and then you start going.
And speaking of going, Kara, where will you go from here?
The other thing that we're starting is the corporate wellness piece. So if you're a business or a company, you can be 2 employees, 1 employee, or 500 employees or more. The goal for them is exactly the same as the kids. Run or walk 100 miles at work during a single year. And you know how hard it is to get up out of your desk and take a walk. And you can do it anywhere. So it provides this, again, a network of wellness where you get your shirt at 25 miles and you wear it out in the community, and some child will see you and you will be
part of a group.
Part of a group. And they look at you like, "Oh my gosh, hi, how many miles?" And they want to look at your back, because that's how we mark their miles, is up, down their back, and these different little boxes. And they want to see how many miles you have. And it's amazing. So what we're doing with the corporate piece is corporations have an opportunity to either join just like the kids do, or do kind of a one-for-one, sponsor yourself, sponsor a child cost, where if you join, the price that you donate or the cost that you donate would sponsor one child at a school, and companies can do that in the name of a school or in the name of our general sponsorship fund. So our goal is to help corporations and companies get healthy at the same time helping our schools implement the program.
As we're wrapping up, Kara, what's one last thing you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think that if anybody wants to participate in the 100 Mile Club, they need to first remember that it's simple. It shouldn't be hard, and it can be done anywhere. Trust me. I can tell you places that we have 100-mile groups you wouldn't believe. So we can make it work with what you have, the time limit you might have. We don't ever say we can't do anything in the 100 Mile Club. It's all about what you can do with what you have where you are. And if you want to do it, you want to get started today. Give us a call.
Great. Thank you, Kara. Really appreciate having you today. It was great hearing about the 100 Mile Club. The mission of the 100 Mile Club is to provide all students the opportunity to experience the powerful feeling of fitness and true personal success by accepting the challenge of running 100 miles at school during a single school year. For more information, visit 100mileclub.com. I'm your host, Linda Reif-Schneider, for Southern California CEO Magazine. Thank you for watching.
This episode of Southern California CEOs, Profiles in Excellence is brought to you by Premier Service Bank. Premier Service Bank has been serving the business community with a full line of business and personal banking services with unmatched customer service. Premier Service Bank, where their name says it all.